Say, man, you see my crab cakes? Till I'm all alone. If you see my crab cakes, tell her things went wrong. Don't call on the phone and bring a black dog home. I got some Louisiana hot sauce, a little tartar too. Come on, little girl, tell me what you want to do. Them Maryland crab cakes are the best in town. Them Maryland crab cakes are the best in town. So come on, baby, let's get Louisiana down. If you see my crab cake, have you seen my crab cake? If you see my crab cake, tell I'm all alone. Tell her I still love her, and when she come back home.
It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake Georgia and New York. I'm Bill Calagione. It's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning. Good day, good evening. Whenever you listen, I hope you're doing all right. Busy show schedule for today. As usual. Yeah. I know. We didn't have 3 shows last week, man. Come on. We told you. We told you what the deal was. We had to jet off to beautiful New Mexico. Cover the Holly Holm and Sophie Matisse fight, which was exactly how I thought it would be. And Holly won, which hey, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't partial to Holly Holm. There's no question about that, but I'll get to that a little bit later. First and foremost, I want to thank Austin Colleen for being so hospitable with me. And I got to send him my Social Security number because it's like I'm a dependent on him now. But I want to move out there. Love it. But anyway, don't forget the show's being brought to you in part by Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service. If you need a limo and you're someplace in the United States of America, well, you need to give my girl Cat a call, 202-351-7496, 202-351-7496. Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service is the official limo service of this year's Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend, which, incidentally, now's the time to start getting your tickets and everything else. We waited, and it's time to do it now. Make your plans. Visit the website, www.billycboxing.com. Click one of the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame posters. We'll take you to the latest information on that. And yes, Kieran will be sending me the new one, I hope, today. And yes, we hope that Andre will get the Billy C. Challenge done this week. So, you guys all complain about me missing a couple of days, but geez. Don't forget the show's also being brought to you in part by Camp and Aaron Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That's Camp and Aaron Tomkovich, 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Let Camp and Aaron Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. And, of course, my friends over at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. Give them a call, 518-792-4869. That's 792-4869. The outdoor section of the facility is open Sunday and Monday nights. The Goyles are there playing beach ball volleyball, or beach volleyball, I should say, in the outdoor section. Check them out. I mean, check out the games. I mean, yeah. That's what I mean. And while you're there, get the boneless wings. Tell them you want the Billy C. hot sauce. Make sure Craig makes it. 518-792-4869 for the Halftime Bar and Grill. All right, we got a bunch of emails, so I want to get started with that right away. And a lot of these are still leftovers from the Manny Pacquiao, Timothy Bradley debacle, and some other ones like the heavyweight spotlight. We got some on that, and of course some new stuff too, like the fight over the weekend. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. knocking out Andy Lee. Hey, listen, I know a lot of people don't particularly care too much for Chavez. We've all been hard on him, but I tell you, I'm becoming more and more of a fan of this kid, and I got news for you. I'll tell you right now, he's going to beat Sergio Martinez. He's going to beat Sergio Martinez. We'll get to that a little bit later, but first and foremost, given quality says. Once again, read the emails and you will see what I say. Stop making your own assumptions about my comments. It's obvious you can't handle the truth. KO, Billy C., you jumped out again. Okay. I don't know what you're talking about. Probably the Gabe Montoya thing. But I have read all of Given Quality's emails. And quite frankly, he's starting to really... he doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make any sense. So, anyway, thanks for taking the time to email us. We appreciate that. Castle Hill Gill says, Billy, there's a good link for the Gabe Montoya article. He says, it's Gabe Montoya versus Golden Boy issue. He says, with all the accusations that Floyd tested positive, blah, blah, blah. He says, I personally don't believe that Floyd is a cheat, but it's a hot topic. Now, he also, he says, you may want to listen to it. However, it's basically a competitor. Hey, here's the deal, dude. You're right. You're 100% right. And I'm giving Castle Hill Gill the time here, and I'm telling all the listeners that there is another link for this. But I'm not going to promote another show on this show, nor will I promote another site on this site. And I'll tell you why. It's not because I don't respect him or anything else. The reason why, and it's pretty simple, is because no one promotes us. If I have no problem cross-promoting other websites and other shows and everything else if they do it with us. But you see, it's everyone comes to us and says, "Oh man, can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? Can you put our link on your site? Can you mention our show and all this stuff?" But no one wants to do it in return. So I'm not going to give anybody any links to or plugs through our listener and viewer base for nothing. And I'm not saying that they have to pay, but I'm saying that they have to at least cross-promote. So, everybody wants to come on the show and talk about their website and talk about their show, but no one wants to reciprocate. So that's the only reason, Castle Hill Gill. But, hey, reach out to my man Castle, and find out where the link is, because I'm not telling you, not unless they do something with us. But anyway, we got Noi2K says, this is to Smitty from the post-fight show, which incidentally we've done pretty well with views on that. That's for sure. We got Jay in the chat room saying Chavez won't beat small old Sergio because of his power jab. Man, I tell you what, I'm going to get to that in a little bit, Jay, but there's no way that and listen, I'm saying it. There is no way that Sergio Martinez is going to win the fight because he's too small. He's too small. And his jab, Chavez will catch up to him. Chavez will get to him, and when he lands those punches, and Andy Lee said it best. I mean, punches have no effect on this guy. I mean, he's got a granite chin. Sergio won't be able to hurt him. The only chance Sergio has, really, is to dance around him and bust him up and just, constant punching all night long. And he just hasn't shown that lately. So, but he is conditioned. So we'll see. I'm early on. I'm picking, clearly picking Chavez Jr. Anyway, back to ripping on Smitty. And Noi2K says, Smitty, that's not fair. The delay was an agreement between Top Rank and HBO. The fight wouldn't start before the game. Once it's over, it didn't want to conflict with the pay-per-view and the NBA finals. You're saying Pac delayed the fight because he was watching the game. That's a lie. Get your facts straight. Don't hide in those excuses where you sugarcoat I love Manny crap. I agree with Noi2K. Smitty should have stopped thinking so highly of himself and really looked into the situation. We all knew. It was announced 3 days prior that the pay-per-view main event would not go on until the NBA finals were over. And we talked about this after that fight. The bottom line is that the previous fight with Jorge Arce ended in 9 seconds of the second round, which kind of screwed it up and prolonged the delay, which made it all seem like everybody was waiting around for Manny. And even Freddie Roach said, hey, he was on the bike just like we planned it. What do you think the bike's here for? So, you got to look at the whole thing and just make sure you understand the facts. And apparently Smitty was more concerned with, patting himself on the back than learning any of the facts.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Rosselli Enterprises. Rosselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Rosselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RosselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the ideal computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at iboboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase, coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to Talking Boxing with Billy C, a radio show. You're watching our replay on LDL TV. Give a shout out to my main man, John, and my two girls, Dawn and, of course, Michelle. Got a secret thing for Michelle. So, my man Jay is in the chat room, man. He's like, no one's in here because Bill screwed everybody, man. Didn't have a show for 3 days. You know, come on, man. I told you guys we weren't going to have a show. I had to fly out to New Mexico for the Holly Holm and Sophie Mathis numero dos fight. Talk about a big ring. Tell you, talk about a bloody couple of fights, man. Jeez, I got that reminds me. I got to send my stuff to the to the dry cleaner. I was basically doused in blood, man. The first couple of fights were pretty bloody. But anyway, we're reading some emails, and we're up to Master Blaster says. At first I had to fight, and we're still talking about the Pacquiao-Bradley fight. He says, first I had to score to fight 115-113 for Pacquiao. Huh. You see, now that's kind of strange because most people had it a blowout. And I got to speak with several high-profile judges on Friday night. Now, I'm not going to mention any names because, for the most part, they all stuck up for their fellow Las Vegian judges, but most people still believe that it was a one-sided beatdown. But anyway, Master Blast says, at first I scored a fight 115-113 for Pac. He says, when I watched the fight again, this time without sound on, and also with instant replay and slow-mo, he says, I had Bradley winning by the same score, 115-113. Pacquiao missed so many punches, but because he throws so many, it looks like a few landed, but that wasn't the case. Pac won the first half of the fight, and Timothy Bradley won the second. All I'm going to say is, I wasn't ringside, and on television, to me, it clearly looked like it was a one-sided fight, so, and I'm sticking to that. Master Blaster goes on to say, you may be right about the Floyd and Manny thing. I just read that Floyd wants out of prison just after Pac's loss. He says, I know it might be a stretch to say it, but if it's related, I wouldn't be surprised. Mayweather just wants special treatment, and he wants to get out of jail. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. And, of course, he's referring to my prediction that Floyd and Manny are going to somehow join forces. And I do believe that. And I think that somehow Manny's going to get out of his contract with Bob Arum. And he's going to join forces with Mayweather. And together they're going to self-promote the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight without anybody else. Forget about giving any money to Golden Boy. Forget about giving any money to Arum. And all the money goes to Mayweather and Pacquiao. And at this point, Mayweather will also get the majority of the purse. So I think they're both going to make at least $100 million if they fight. And the bottom line is I still think that fight is in high demand. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody says. But then again, the next big fight after that is the Pacquiao rematch with Bradley. ADP 023 says, I don't think Bradley waiting had anything to do with him getting hurt from the punches in the third round. And injuring his foot by running away from Pacquiao's aggression. I guess referring to the weight because of the basketball game. He did get hurt, and the truth of the matter is the one thing that really bothered me about that fight is that we're all watching it from TV, and I will tell you this: the collection of judges I got to speak with. Especially, I didn't want to say, but I met one of the most gorgeous judges out there. Talking to them, they were critical of Harold Letterman, my man Harold, and I think Harold scores a good fight. So, The one thing I'm going to say is, didn't it seem strange that, we're all watching this fight and it's appearing that, Bradley's losing. And in between rounds, his corner's telling him, you're going to make history. It's like they already knew the outcome, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe. Out of control troll. I love this guy's email. Out of control troll. He says, congratulations, graz to Bradley. Lenny Fresquez said he put a couple of dollars on Bradley to win a decision. So, hey, what was it? 4-1 he got. So, you got to congratulate Bradley for at least not getting knocked out. And, hey, he wasn't filling out any scorecards. So, anyway, more comments on Pacquiao Bradley. Lowroy11 says, good point on the negligence of the skill of the game in favor of conditioning aspect instead. Yeah, man. I mean, that's the truth. Today, that's all we got. We got guys that are, focusing on nutrients and supplements and conditioning and cheering, and nobody's throwing, the right punches. Larry Holmes said it when they interviewed him not too long ago. He says somebody asked him, what's the point with, what's your thoughts with the boxing today? He says nobody uses the left jab anymore. Nobody's using the jab. Everybody's coming in with the right hook, the right, landing a right, followed by a left hook. That seems to be the 1-2 now. Lead with your right hand, follow with the left hook. Lead with your right hand, follow with the left hook. No more jab. And I was watching the fights this past weekend out in New Mexico, I should say. And the young kids, there was a lot of young fighters on the card. A lot of 4-round fights. And sure enough, with the exception of one or two, none of them were using their jab. Now, obviously, if you're a southpaw, you can be jabbing with your right hand, and your power hand is your left. But and what am I listening to? I'm listening to rah 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 rah. So, hey, we're losing the true trainers, the teachers of the game. So it's a shame. From my man Carlo says, first of all, love the show, keep it up. This may sound crazy, but I think what happened to Manny last week could be a blessing. After the fight, I read the tweets and I heard the interviews from tons of people, especially other athletes and celebrities, and they were all rooting for Manny. I think Manny added a lot more fans after this robbery, and the most important thing is people to forget or forgive Manny Pacquiao for the Marquez fight. I tell you what, there's nothing better than an outcome like what happened with Manny Pacquiao and Timothy Bradley to have people kind of refocus their attention away from the Marquez fight. And Marquez is probably the guy who disliked the outcome of that fight more than anyone, because his long shot of potentially getting a fourth fight against Manny Pacquiao may very well have evaporated as the ink on the judges' scorecards should have. My man T. Bruce says, Gabe Montoya is a joke, Bills. Now, I got to give this guy credit. He spells Bills, B-I-L-Z. I like that. He says, I tweeted back and forth with him about how I was waiting for the USDA, that's USADA results, and I bought into his silly stories. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and long and behold, USADA released clean results for both Floyd and Miguel Cotto as soon as the story hit. He tweeted, nap time. I'm thinking to myself, oh no you don't, Negro. Where do you think you're going? So I tweeted him, and it's nap time once you found out testing Floyd. Oh, my man T. Bruce says, I tweeted him, it's nap time once you found out Floyd tested negative. Told yo ass, Gabester. Yo ass was wrong. This is what T. Bruce. I can't say it the way I know he wants me to, but he's saying this is what he tweeted to Gabe Montoya, and he says then Gabe gets mad and blocks me. He says, LOL, I'm a Floyd fan, but all I wanted was the answers. That's the only reason I bought into his BS. But now all of a sudden he has no answers and he blocks people. He says, well, if you were wrong, then you was wrong. Nothing we can do about it. And he doesn't even talk boxing anymore. All he does is obsess over the drug testing and tries to find groundbreaking stories to make himself famous with some articles about fighters, fights, and other things on the sport. Show me that you're a fan of the sport and not some Anderson Cooper wannabe looking for the next big story. Gabe is a Mexican version of Drake, and if he wouldn't have blocked me, he was going to get these types of tweets forever. He says, forever and ever, Drake voice. The thing is this, if you're going to make a statement like Max did, I would think he's going to back it up. Now, I don't know what's going on with this whole situation. Never claimed to be on the forefront of it. I did discuss some of his comments, and he did seem to have a handle on it. I'm just going to say this. I know Gabe Montoya, and I think that this guy is a thorough writer, and although he's playing private eye and investigator on this whole situation, I don't know if you've heard the last of it. I have a feeling he's going to come out with some more stuff, so I would stay tuned for it, and we'll see what transpires. If it just goes away and we don't hear anything again, well, then maybe all of the comments that guys like T. Bruce and even Given Quality, I'm going to give him credit, are saying could have some substance behind them. But as for now, let's see what happens. And I, for one, just wish that, my whole point about this whole drug testing thing was pretty simple. You can't rush testing if you don't know the whole ramifications and what they're testing for and everything else. That was my point. And my other point is, if it's random, maybe the organization that's testing you should be random too. Now, from what I've learned, the two different organizations, the USADA and the VADA, are substantially different in pricing structure. One is extremely expensive, and the other, well, they're both expensive for me. I mean, I can't afford to go buy a sandwich, but you're talking, I think, $20,000 for one and $8,000 for another. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I remember hearing those kinds of numbers, but that kind of a difference. But the truth of the matter is if we are going to test, the playing field should be even. Guys like Floyd Mayweather want the playing field to be even, so he's not in the ring with somebody that's using performance-enhancing drugs. Well, then the playing field should be even in the testing procedures as well. So that's all that was my point. Quite frankly, I don't want to sound barbaric or anything, but I don't care one way or another. I just think that, if these guys want to use performance-enhancing drugs, well, then they should allow it. And let them all use it and let them kill each other in the ring. If they don't want to use it, if everybody wants it to be natural, then damn it, you got to police it. So it's either or. You got the guys that want it to be clean, like Floyd, and, people like myself who want it to be clean, and then you have the other guys that are looking for ways to cheat. I don't blame Floyd for not wanting to get into the ring with someone that's using a performance-enhancing drug when he's not. Now, if it turns out that he is, that's going to be a whole different story. Then he becomes more of a scourge that I think he already is.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I would think.
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. from upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com.
KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.kofantasyboxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.kofantasyboxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.kofantasyboxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent you.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting?
Yeah,
Wait, what?
Wrong.
What's the problem?
Billy
What?
C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask you
wrong
to
speech.
leave.
What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C.
And we're back. You're listening to Talking Boxing with Billy C, a radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. That's right. If you don't have Fight Now, then you better pick up the phone and call your local television provider and tell them you want Fight Now right now. That's it. For all the information about the Fight Now channel, visit their website, www.fightnow.com. And right then, my sound system just crapped out. But, hey, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I know what I got to do. I got to replace it. One thing at a time. One thing at a time. We're reading some emails, and I got another one here from T. Bruce. He says, dollar bills. It's another one. He spells my name B-I-L-Z. Yeah, she is, Jay. She is, okay? She is. I got to admit. I know I've known her for a long time. But anyway, he says, dollar bills. I hate Pac-Man, but I always hated him because of how the media overrates him. Allows him to fight back-to-back bums, robbing the fans by duping us into buying these fights while promoting him as the savior of boxing. He ducked Berto and Juan Manuel Macars because they were small pay-per-view draws. He says racist fans who say a whole bunch of negative things. I'm not going to get into what he types here, but about Floyd. He says, note all fans who are mostly overnight casual fans who know nothing about the sport. I always hated him, but sometimes I think about it, and I hate this guy for reasons that have nothing to do with him at all. Heck, he fought bums because of Arum. He ducked Floyd because of Arum. Pac is a man, is a gracious, kind, humble, and positive guy, and he's one of those gullible Christians that take everything in the Bible so literal. I love God, but I don't take the Bible as literal as Ned Flanders from The Simpsons. That's funny, man. If you've never watched The Simpsons, then you can't find the humor in that. But it is kind of funny, and I, for one, am a big Simpsons fan, as I am Family Guy as well. I got to admit, I like Family Guy too, and I can definitely find the humor in that. But anyway, he says, or as Pac-Man, he says, Pac-Man is a innocent person. He's faultless. He's basically a kid in a grown-up's world, and it really bothers me to see an all-time great robbed like that. He didn't deserve that, and after the fight, he tops it off by saying some humble trash. It even hurt more. I love Floyd. I hate Pacquiao, but I love boxing more than I hate Pacquiao and love Floyd, and that really hurt me inside as a man and as a fan. Arum smiling with Bradley after the fight, then he goes and pretends that he's outraged at the post-pressure, and that's a really, I want to stop right there, T. That's a good point, because you're not the only one that said that. I got a lot of emails from people that were like, what's up with Arum? people that request not to read them on air. What's up with Adam? He's sitting there smiling with Bradley, and then he walks into the press conference. Even Tony Treem, who covered the fight, said the same thing. He's smiling, posing for pictures with Bradley, and then all of a sudden it's like, Jekyll and Hyde. He turns out, because that's his act. I read an article, one of the writers wrote just that, his patented, act, But anyway, he says, then he comes in, he pretends that he's outraged at the post-fight news press conference. He says, I don't know how you can rob a fighter at this level and claim to be his friend, father figure, or whatever Arum claims. A fighter puts his life on the line, trains for 3 months, and goes out there and does his work. Everyone said Pac was old, washed up, and slipping. I know that fighters are students of the game. And he says they change every day. Once Floyd got touched by Cotto, it inspired Pac to be at his best. I knew he would be ready. It isn't the old Pac who was basically a cyborg who punched with cannons, but it's still a great show. And I thought it was wrong how they did that man. And to make matters worse, he looks at the press and says, "Don't be discouraged for boxing. It's okay." He's more concerned with us upset boxing fans than he is himself. If it really bothers me, man. He says, it really bothers me, man, and I don't know what to say. And now Top Rank is investigating. I'm like, Top Rank had something to do with this, so why are they going to try and investigate? LOL. Thanks for listening and reading my email. Sorry I couldn't tune in for the past couple of shows. What the hell? Why aren't you tuning in, T? Come on, man. You're missing out. Listen, I appreciate this email, and, it goes to show you that, we all boxing. What makes boxing so great? What makes boxing the greatest sport is it's subjective. Now, people can say the same thing about the subjectiveness of the sport and say that that's why it's not a great sport, because it's not cut and dry. In baseball, it's a statistic-based sport. You're up 5 times. You get a hit 2 times. You're batting for X amount of average. Whatever the case is, it's all statistics. You can't deny it. You get the out. It's whatever the case is. In boxing, we could look at the same fight, look just like we are, Manny Pacquiao, Timothy Bradley fight that we're still talking about. It's still subjective. We have our fans. We love we have our favorite fighters as fans. We love our favorite fighters. We support them no matter what. And here's a guy that crossed the line. He's a Floyd fan. He admitted it. He said he's a Floyd fan. He says he loves Floyd. He hates Pacquiao. But he had to give Pacquiao credit for taking this loss, which obviously he felt, T. Bruce feels, just like me, that it was a robbery. And he felt that, Timothy Bradley, got a gift. And he just felt that Manny Pacquiao basically took it on the chin for us, for the boxing fan. And even went as far as to say, don't get discouraged over this, So, hey, thanks for letting us in with your personal feelings, T. It's cool that, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. And I'm sure people are happy that he lost, especially other Floyd fans, So, hey, you got to do what you got to do. Biggerback says, Tony Treem talking about Ali is no difference than giving quality talking about Pacquiao. Both are irrational. If he comes back, please don't mention Ali and what he did to the sport. Please don't mention Ali. What he did to the sport is immeasurable. The reason he has losses is he never ducked nobody. You can't even pretend Tony is objective. He makes illogical assumptions that questions the history and integrity of boxing out of hatred for Ali. Here's the problem when you're talking about Ali. First of all, Muhammad Ali wasn't always loved the way he is now. And Tony was ringside for many of his fights. And, Tony remembers, just like I remember things about Muhammad Ali, watching him fight and watching times when the 3 Frazier fights, I rooted for Ali in 2 of the 3, and it was just like by the 3rd one, I couldn't stand him anymore, and Muhammad Ali was that kind of a fighter when he fought. you have to be old enough to have remembered what was going on with Muhammad Ali while he was active. And I don't mean go back now and go on YouTube or get a DVD and rewatch a fight. Rewatching the George Foreman fight or any of the Joe Frazier fights do not put in perspective of what was going on around Muhammad Ali. Around in the world, the way people were viewing different movements at the time. And when you lived through that, it's hard to break away from that. And those memories are part of the fight game, Now, people have also said to me about Tony Treem not using Muhammad Ali, kept referring to him as Cassius Clay. Well, guess what? He fought Sonny Liston as Cassius Clay. That was his name. His name didn't change to Muhammad Ali till after that. And the reason why he changed it was because of his religious beliefs, and that started a whole nother issue with Muhammad Ali, refusing to go to war. He was an American and didn't want to be drafted, and used his religious beliefs. Now, I'm not disputing that he truly believed in his religion, and Tony Treem certainly wasn't either. But the fact remains is that his name was not legally changed until after that. So and some people that knew him earlier on always referred to him as Cassius Clay. So, I just want you to understand that that's a big difference. There's a huge difference between Tony Treem and Given Quality. Tony Treem looks at boxing historically. Given Quality looks at it like a whack job because he's just so focused on one fighter. I mean, I don't look at Given Quality as a true a fan of boxing. He's a diehard Floyd Mayweather fan. He's not a true fan of boxing because if he was, he would have more. He would have other He would have other boxing people that he likes. Other fighters. He would also be able to cite other things. He's on this movement. He's like whatever. But anyway, Michael Parmenet, who's used to be a correspondent for us down in Australia, he says, please add this to your mailbag. Okay, relax, Mikey, relax. He says, I generally respect Tony Treem. The guy that does the heavyweight spotlight. Yeah, I know who he is. But I was pretty disappointed with some of the stuff that went on during the last heavyweight spotlight. He says, first of all, I thought it was pretty disrespectful that Tony kept calling Ali Clay. Well, I just said, Mike, the reason why. Ali was not Ali when he fought Sonny Liston in the first fight. He just was not. His name was Cassius Clay. That's his birth name was Cassius Clay. He says, Ali has the right as anyone else in this world to change his name, and we should respect that right and call him by the name which is Muhammad Ali and not Cassius Clay as he legally changed it. I agree with you, Mike, but when we refer to fights that took place that are in the history books as Cassius Clay, that is fact, is fact, is fact. Dwight Muhammad Quaid, same thing. He's got fights prior to him changing his name. Before he changes to his religious name. So I mean, you got to be careful with that. If somebody wants to call Muhammad Ali Cassius Clay when he fought against Trevor Berbick in his last professional fight, okay, maybe you have a point. But we were discussing the Liston fight, and during that fight, he was Cassius Clay. But I agree with you. You change your name, you respect it. And I think the majority of people do. And I'm sure Tony does as well. He says, second of all, he should at least get his facts right about someone he's going to be so critical about. Tony said on your show that Ali won the heavyweight title for the third time against Foreman when it was only the second time he won it. Ali won the third time against Leon Spinks. That was... a mistake that Tony said during that heavyweight spotlight, because I remember that there was a reason why I always thought that Muhammad Ali lost that first Leon Spinks fight. And I even asked it, and then I was questioning my own knowledge. I forgot. You're right about that. The guy who won the title twice, the first guy to win the title twice was Floyd Patterson. The first heavyweight to win it 3 times was Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad Ali won that third title in the rematch against Leon Spinks. And Tony and I, when we do the heavyweight spotlight, it is all on the cuff. So everything that we're talking about, we're doing out of recollection. You don't see us with notes. You don't see us with facts in front of us and everything else. We're doing it out of our old minds. And both of us are old enough to make a mistake here and there. But you are 100% correct. I threw in a question, and we started talking about second, recapturing the heavyweight title the second time, blah, 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 and we went off in the wrong way. But you're right about that. Thanks for the email, Mike. Don't take it so personal. Again, if you were a little older, you may understand what's going on with the whole Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay. I like him sometimes. I don't. I hate him. What all? Now he's an ambassador well beyond the sport of boxing. Anyway, the Alex T, the other Alex, says, Max Baer, didn't he make the top 25 list? I always thought that he was perhaps the biggest underachiever that ever held the title. A good conversation might be to Riddick Bowe in that both guys, a good comparison might be to Riddick Bowe. Both guys who had the skills to reign for much longer than they did. I always get the impression that Baer never really was in love with boxing, and that's why he only held the belt for a year. Bowe, on the other hand, took too many shots from Evander, and add that to the fact that he didn't take care of his body, and I think that's why he ended up like he did. Back to Baer, I'm going to throw a question to you. Okay. I was comparing his accomplishments to Jerry Quarry. I think Jerry Quarry had a more accomplished career. Baer won the title from Carnero, who in my opinion was a fraud. Sorry, Tony. Hey, man, Tony doesn't... what are you blaming Tony for? I was kidding around with Primo Carnero. He says, he says, then lost to Broderick, Lewis, Lou Nova, and several others. His biggest win, in my opinion, was over Max Schmeling. I'll be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot about Baer's opponents simply because there's not much video of the many guys that he fought, so maybe I'm selling Baer short, but I do know a lot about Quarry's opponents, and I believe that they were better than the guys Max Baer fought. Quarry had wins over Shavers, Lyle, Mack, Foster, Buster Mathis, and Floyd Patterson, and many others. He had big losses, too, against Ali, Frazier, and Norton, but I think Quarry's competed in a much better era, and frankly, he didn't get the physical... he didn't have the physical tools that Max Baer had. He was always the small man, where Baer was the big heavyweight for his day. Of course, Baer won the title and Quarry didn't, and that's why we'll always keep him ranked ahead of Quarry. But I think you take that title away from, you take that title win over Carnero away, and look at the career, and Quarry's is more impressive. What's your thoughts? I agree. It was probably before you were listening, Alex. We said Jerry Quarry, if he were fighting today, he would clearly be a champion. There's no question about it. People do have a tendency to remember the losses against the guys like Frazier and Norton and, of course, Muhammad Ali. But he fought in arguably the best heavyweight era ever. So I agree with you 100%. 100%. So, anyway, and congratulations on losing that big bluefish, man. Come on, man. Get the fish in the boat. That's all I can say, Alex T. Get the fish in the boat. Stop talking about I lost a big one. So did I. Everybody loses the big one. You got to get them in the boat. Anyway, thanks for the email. We got James Curl says, he says, first of all, let me state for the record, I am not a Muhammad Ali fan. You guys obviously can't get this Ali thing out of your heads. He says, I'm not an Ali fan. He says, but after our talks at the Hall of Fame, I was curious to watch the Ali list and won. Okay, I got to give you a little background of this. I got we were talking about the Ali Liston fight, or the first one was Clay Liston. I went off with because I'm a big Liston fan, blah, blah, blah. So James Curl went back to California and watched the fight. He says, he said, I heard you telling people that you thought that there was a possibility the fight was fixed. He says, after watching the fight, I disagree. You're dead to me now, Jim Curl. That's it. No more Jim Curl. No, I'm only kidding. He says, from the start of round one, Liston is the aggressor. And he's trying to land hard shots. However, he's so slow compared to Ali in round 1 and 2. Liston can't even hit Ali. While Ali's landing with his lefts and his rights, Liston does display good head movement. But by round 3, Ali is staggering Liston, and he lands 19 punches. As far as I can tell, they all landed. He says, Liston's chasing Ali and throwing hard shots, but not many landing. To me, it looks like Liston was very determined, but just couldn't catch up with Ali. Between the third and fourth round, Liston's corner works on Liston's cut, and you can see that his eyes were already beginning to swell. The fourth round was uneventful when both fighters began to they were being content to box. One thing I noticed in the fourth was that Liston didn't seem to know how to cut off the ring effectively. That is a good point, though, Jim. During that fight, he wasn't cutting the ring off. He was plodding around, and that's a good point. Between the fourth and fifth rounds, Ali claimed he had something in his eye. At the start of the fifth, Liston went right on and the attack and landed some hard body shots. Ali couldn't do anything because of his compromised vision, except get on his bicycle and jab. By the way, Liston was fighting in round 5. It looked to me like he was very determined to knock out Ali, but couldn't catch up with him. Liston didn't look like a guy who was throwing a fight. He looked like a guy who was trying to win. By the sixth round, Ali's eyes were clear. He was landing hard 1-2 combinations and 3 to 8 punch combinations on Liston's head. Between round 6 and 7, Liston's corner was working on his cuts, and you could see Liston's eyes were swollen. His corner was also rubbing his shoulder, and he says, after watching his fights, in my opinion, that Liston did not throw the fight. I believe Liston quit because he was being beaten. I think, simply put, the bully quit. Liston was getting busted up and beaten to the punch. The only other explanation I might expect is that Liston did hurt his shoulder. However, I didn't see any signs of it as to when this could have happened. Liston was throwing punches throughout the sixth round up until the end. One thing I was reminded after watching this fight was that Ali was a big guy. He was 6'3.5", and he weighed 210 pounds with broad shoulders. Ali may not be remembered as a power puncher, but his punches still hurt. They were hard. I mean, think about it. He's as big as Max Barron, twice as fast. How ironic is that? 2 references to Max Barron one day. He says, I would love to watch this fight with you, maybe at the Billy C. Hall of Fame event. We could watch it together. Date. That's what we'll do, Jim. We'll do that as one of our thangs. We did that with the Sugar Ray Leonard and marvelous Marvin Hagler fight. We all watched it round by round, stopped it, scored it, all that happy stuff. I would love to do that. It's tough. I mean, listen, Sonny Liston was one of my favorite fighters. I base the fix a lot on Nick Torsh's book, The Devil and Sonny Liston. I think if you read that, you may see some of the reasons and what I bought into. As far as the fight itself, and especially the second fight, we'll never know. We'll never know. Not until, if you believe Nick Torsh, we're going to know after Ali moves on. But the bottom line is, as far as a fan goes, I guess I'm a loyal fan. I know I'm a loyal fan because I love Sonny Liston. He's the guy that I always follow. And although I have Muhammad Ali ranked higher than Sonny Liston, I certainly didn't look to him as being one of my all-time favorites as much as Sonny Liston was. Finally, last email. Whew. We had some catching up to do. I get an email from my man Bajan, and he says Saul Alvarez versus Victor Ortiz. He thinks it's a great fight for boxing, and it should be an interesting slugfest. I agree. I think so. I have some comments about that, and my only point about that one was, here they're talking about that fight, and Victor Ortiz, as far as I know, isn't he fighting this weekend? Doesn't he have to win that one? And he's in there with a tough kid. Make no mistake, Josito Lopez is not an easy fight. And I do know, and we'll get into it in a little bit, I do know that they do have something in place should Victor Ortiz lose that fight this weekend. I believe Josito Lopez gets the nod against Saul Alvarez. So whoever wins that fight, but the promotion of it is actually saying that it's going to be Victor Ortiz. But we're going to take a break here. But before I do that, it was reported last week. As a matter of fact, Thursday we did not do a live show, but I want to mention that. It was ordered by the Justice of the Peace, Melissa Saragusa, that Floyd Mayweather Jr. has to stay in jail. Now, we have heard different reports that he was getting private food brought in, that he was going to be let out, early this week and everything else. Well, as of Thursday of last week, actually late Wednesday night of last week, Melissa Saragusa said that's not happening. His team, Las Vegas, the Floyd Mayweather team, claims that he doesn't have the room to work out, that he's not able to eat anymore because he refuses to eat the food that they're giving him, and his calorie intake is low. He doesn't drink any water, and he's dehydrated because he only wants to drink bottled water and all of this stuff. And basically, spokespeople for Team Mayweather say, his career may be over. His body is being, ruined, and it's going to take him a year to recover and everything else. Here's the thing. I believe that. Well, let me read some quotes. First of all, they said, listen, the physical training areas and times are provided to Mayweather are not consistent with his prior regimen. He indeed needed more. He needs more space and more time for his physical activity if he chooses. Okay. Hey, listen, after all of this, I love the one thing, okay? One thing. And it was the prosecutor who said her name is Lisa Luziach. Luzibiach. No, I'm sorry. Luciach says, this was, they had this whole hearing trying to get Floyd to be let out. And she says, and this is the classic. She says, this is jail. Where did he think he was going? To the Four Seasons? And that's true, man. First of all, you go to jail. I don't care if you're eating garbage food. I don't care if you're not allowed to work out the way you want. I don't care if you're not getting bottled water. You're going to friggin' jail. I mean, it's absurd that this man, if you want to even call him a man. See, I don't even think he's a man. I think he's a great fighter and everything, and he'll kick my ass. But that doesn't make him a man. A man, he act like he's doing his time. Come on, man. A man shuts up and does his time. If he was stupid enough to hit a woman, that's where I question his manhood. And then to get this special treatment or expect I'm not drinking the water because it's not bottled. I'm not eating the food because it's not good. It's not what I'm used to eating. My body is losing my muscle tone because I'm not able to work out with the equipment I'm used to. Please, man. It's a joke.
C now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't...
Hit Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh? What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. He's Billy C, and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. Watching us on the Fight Now television channel. If you don't have Fight Now, what the hell are you waiting for? Pick up the phone and call your local television provider. I don't care if you have satellite or cable. Pick up the phone and call them. Tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup right now. Don't forget, every night is Fight Night on Fight Now, 10 p.m. Eastern. Check out their website for the latest listings, www.fightnow.com. Yeah, interesting question from my man Jay in the chat room. He says, do you think James Toney was the originator of the defense that Floyd Mayweather uses? And, of course, he's referring to the shoulder roll. Very similar. Very similar. It's a really good observation for Jay. I think you got to give the Mayweathers credit for that. Floyd Sr. Floyd Jr. doesn't ever give his pops any credit for whatever reason, but he used it as well. So, James Toney might have very well, kind of stole a little bit of that. But that's a really good comparison. Jay's also critical of me not liking Sweet Pea Whitaker. I never liked him. I'm not saying he wasn't great. I'm not saying he's a justifiable Hall of Famer. I just wasn't a big fan of his. You know how boxing is, man. You're fans. I liked Tyson, Jack Johnson. Not that I ever got to see Jack Johnson live, but, fighters like that. Hagler, of course. Boom Boom Mancini was one of my favorite fighters. There's a lot of fighters out today. There's a lot of fighters out today that I enjoy watching. And it's a shame because, we're always saying how, boxing, it's not like it used to be and everything else. That's true. However, we do have some talented fighters out there. It's just that the regular old sports fan doesn't know about them. But, hey, we're already an hour into the show, and I haven't talked about the fights yet. We're catching up on all the mailbags. Plus, I got a bunch of news I want to talk about. So let's get rolling into it right now. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. knocks out Andy Lee in the 7th round on Saturday night. If you missed this fight, go back and watch it, because, a lot of people give Julio Cesar Chavez a lot of BS. This guy's come a long way. Yes, I have personally said I don't like watching fighters develop before our eye as a champion. We're watching it with Saul Alvarez. We certainly watch it with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. But you can't deny the kid's improvement. He's gotten better and better and better ever since the Sebastian Zabik fight. This is a kid that has seemed pretty invincible, and he overcomes. Listen, nobody's ever saying that this guy has got blazing hand speed, that he can box from the outside. He can't. Here's what he can do. He can really dry out and lose about 20 pounds at a weigh-in, and he comes in and he's just so physically bigger than his opponents, and he wears them down. He does have hand speed when he's in close. You got to give him credit for his body attack. He introduced some left hooks yesterday to the head. On Saturday. Listen, he won the fight and he broke down Andy Lee. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is now 46-0 with a draw. He's got 32 knockouts. Andy Lee losing for the second time of his career. I think that it was although I think Lawrence Cole is really one of the top 5 worst referees in the sport of professional boxing. I agree with his decision to stop the fight. Andy Lee was on his way down. He had never physically hit the canvas before. He's the type of guy that gets knocked out on his feet. Chavez was starting to really bust him up. And I don't think we can argue with that stoppage. It came at 2 minutes and 21 seconds of the seventh round. And, according to the judges that were watching the fight, they had him ahead at the time the fight was stopped, 58-54. How can you have him ahead? I'm convinced that judges today do not score body punches. I'm convinced that they don't score body punches. It's a shame. We need to listen. The scoring system today is in shambles, and we need to remedy it because it's BS. It really is. How can you have that fight 58-54 at the time of the stoppage? I mean, if you want to give Andy Lee the first couple of rounds, so be it. But we're talking the seventh. From the fourth, including the fourth round, I would say really from the third round on, Chavez was landing the harder shots. From the fourth and fifth and sixth rounds, Chavez was just breaking down Andy Lee. I mean, he was going back to the corner, in rough shape. He was staggered a couple of times. Ludicrous that they had him up basically 4 rounds. So they had only given him 3 rounds. I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, Chavez now is in line. We're going to talk about this. He's going to be fighting Sergio Martinez, which this is one of the mysteries. One of the world's mysteries. Life is a mystery, right? But I'll tell you what's more of a mystery is the friggin' WBC. How did they take a guy like Sergio Martinez? And I'm not giving any disrespect to Chavez, but they take a guy like Sergio Martinez, who's the middleweight champion of the world, and they strip him of that title, and they supposedly elevate him to what they call their diamond middleweight champion. Their diamond middleweight champion. But yet, he's got to wait in line at a shot at the title that they stripped him for no apparent reason, that Chavez ended up winning. And now he's got to wait for an opportunity to fight this guy. I mean, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. But we'll get to that. They did sign the fight. It is going to happen. As a matter of fact, Chavez was very confident after the fight, and he said that this fight was a fight that I needed to get over with, and now I want Martinez. I thought it was a very classy move by Andy Lee when they stuck the mic in front of him and they said, what'd you think tonight? And he thought for a split second with, the emotionless Lou DiBella at his side, and he said, I'm not going to make any excuses. I lost the fight. This guy's a better fighter than me tonight. End of story. Can you not? I mean, I was never a huge Andy Lee fan, but I became one after he said that. I love it when fighters act like men, and they take the defeat like a man. End of story. And I also like, right in front of Lou DiBella, his promoter, when they asked him, how do you think he's going to do against Martinez? And Andy Lee, by the way, sparred with Martinez to prepare for Chavez, which, nothing for nothing, he's got Lou DiBella, who doesn't like to write any checks, and he's got a guy who many believe is a great trainer in Manny Stewart, and they have him sparring Sergio Martinez for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. How about putting him in there with a bigger guy? Martinez may have the hand speed, may have the conditioning, may have all of that over Chavez, but guess what he doesn't have? Size and power. So you need to spar with someone with size and power to prepare. It didn't work out for Andy Lee, but I give him a lot of credit for his post-fight. In some of the undercard, Miguel Vasquez improved to 31 wins, 3 losses with 13 knockouts when he won a 10-round decision over Daniel Ata, who drops to 26 wins, 11 losses, and a draw with 9 knockouts. It was a non-title event. Non-title affair, even though Vasquez is the IBF lightweight champ. The way the judges scored it was 100-90. Shutout on all 3 scorecards. Ata makes this fight makes him lose 4 in a row. Robert Marroquin improved to 22-1 with 15 knockouts when he scored a second-round knockout over Arturo Santiago, who drops to 7-6 with a draw. The official time was 1 minute and 32 seconds of the round 2. In the lightweight division, Casey Ramos improves to 16-0 when he stopped Arthur Trevino in the 5th round. The official time was 1 minute and 14 seconds. Trevino drops to 7-8-3 with 4 knockouts. Middleweight, Abby Han improved to 17-0 when he knocked out Joe Gomez in the 4th round, 1 minute and 39 seconds. Gomez drops to 18-6-1. In the super bantamweight division, Alejandro Gonzalez Jr. improved to 12 wins, no losses, a couple of draws, 7 of his wins coming by knockout. He is the son of Cobrita Gonzalez. 44 seconds in the 1st round over Leopoldo Gonzalez. So it's Gonzalez in that one. Who won? Gonzalez. Who lost? Gonzalez. Who was in the corner? Gonzalez. Oh, my God. How about Speedy? Where's he? Oh, he's running around the ring. Super bantamweight Tremaine Williams improved to 2-0, 2 knockouts when he stopped Theo Johnson at 2 minutes and 24 seconds of the 3rd round. Theo Johnson now 0-2. And finally, to open up the night in Texas, super bantamweight Adam Lopez improved to 3-0 with a knockout when he won a 4-round decision over Raul Carrillo, who dropped to 1-6. The way the judges saw it, 2 of them had 40-36, one had 39-37. It's coming from us from Texas. Give a shout out to Rocky Burke, who was one of the judges for all the undercard. Tomaz Adamek. You know, I tell you what, the NBC Sports Network really pisses me off. You know, this is the 3rd week in a row that they order a 2-hour time slot, and the main event didn't even come on until the 2nd hour was over. So you know what that meant for me? I didn't get to watch the friggin' thing. I had to download it, you know, because I pre-recorded it because I wasn't going to be around in time. And I end up watching those boring undercard fights. And, you know, I'm all ready for the Adamek Chambers fight, and that doesn't come on. So, but it went the way I thought. As a matter of fact, I actually thought Tomaz Adamek would knock out Eddie Chambers. Eddie Chambers just finished. And I don't mean that in disrespect. I mean, listen, the guy was overrated to begin with. He's fighting out of class. You know, Eddie Chambers should be a cruiserweight. He refuses to lose the role that he's got hanging around his waist. You know, and the bottom line is that he would be a pretty damn good cruiserweight. He's got the hand speed and everything else. Ever since his knockout loss to Klitschko, he's not been the same fighter. He backed out of a couple of fights. He's looking for a fast track back to him payday. It's not going to happen. I don't think there's any interest in Eddie Chambers. And Tomaz Adamek certainly didn't have much trouble with him as he improved to 46 wins, a couple of losses, 29 of his wins coming by knockout. Eddie Chambers lost for only the 3rd time in his career. He's now 36-3 with 18 knockouts. Took place on Saturday at the Prudential Center. It was the main event of NBC Sports. The way the judges scored it, 2 of them had it 116-112, and one kind of had it a little out there, 119-109. But once again, Eddie Chambers, had some excuses afterwards. Said he hurt his arm. Said he, didn't have a good breakfast. Said, his foot hurt. His toe was bothering him. I don't know, man. Eddie, lose about 20 pounds and go fight as a cruiserweight. You'll get a world title, okay? Come on. I don't care what anybody says. You're roly. You're pudgy, okay? Come on, man. Lose 20 pounds and become a friggin' cruiserweight. You struggle to here's Tomaz Adamek, who weighed, 230 pounds, 229 pounds for the fight. And Eddie Chambers could barely make 210, 215, whatever it was. Come on. Brian Bye-Bye Jennings improved to 14-0 with 6 knockouts when he scored a 10-round decision over Steve the Freight Train Collins, who lost for only the 2nd time in his career, 25-2 now with a draw, 18 knockouts. Bye-Bye Jennings is now the USBA heavyweight title holder. It was for the vacant title. Collins went down in the fourth round when he was being punched all around and ropes held him up. I do think that the referee made the right call there because if those ropes weren't there, he would have hit the canvas for sure. But Collins survived and survived for the rest of the fight. 100-89 with the way all three judges scored it. You got to love Brian Jennings. I mean, you really do. And he seems, to me, he actually seems like he's getting bigger. He reminds me of Evander Holyfield. When Evander, now, I say that just in size and the way he's, in shape and everything else. Now, we don't know if he's going to become, and I'm certainly not saying that he's as great as Evander Holyfield was in terms of recuperating when Evander was in trouble, in terms of his longevity and all of that stuff. I'm not suggesting that 1 minute yet. Brian Jennings has a long way to go. But in a sense of just physical comparisons and the style in which he's fighting right now, I see some similarities with Evander. And I'm interested in this kid. I want to see him. And to be honest with you, I think Brian Jennings is a much better prospect in the heavyweight division here in the United States than any of the other guys that they're talking about, including Seth Mitchell. So, I'm excited to see him as time goes on. I fear that he's a little too small, that's all. And finally, in the middleweight division, Jamal Davis improved to 14 wins, 8 losses, and a draw when he won a unanimous decision over Dole Cazaquilo, who drops to 16-20, 79-73, and two of the judges had it at 78-74. Over in England, I've been talking a lot about the Hatton card, and the main event was for the interim WBA Super Bantamweight title, and that fight between Rendell Monroe and Scott Quigg ended in a technical draw. Rendell Monroe now is 24 wins, 2 losses, and a draw, with 10 of his wins coming by knockout. And Scott Quigg now is 24 wins, no losses, 17 knockouts, and a draw. So that's the way that ended in Manchester, England. On the undercard, Sergey Rabchenko stopped Ryan Rose in the 7th round at 2 minutes and 54 seconds of the 7th round from a body shot to become the new European junior middleweight titleist. Rabchenko improves to 21-0 with 16 knockouts. Ryan Rose, on the other hand, Rhodes dropped to 46 wins and 6 losses, with 31 of his wins coming by knockout. The guy we've been talking a little bit about, Richard Towers, he's 6'8" tall. That's right, 6'8" tall. 14 wins now, 10 coming by knockout when he scored a 9th round stoppage over Gregory Toney, who drops to 17-3 with 14 knockouts. And he too claimed a European belt, of course, the heavyweight division. Towers dropped Gregory Toney in the 2nd round. He also dropped him in the 7th round, and not once, not twice, but 3 times in the 8th round. And finally, Gregory Toney was by the 9th round came, couldn't fight anymore. He said his arm hurt, and so did his pride. So the bottom line is Richard Towers looking like he's going to be around. We got some big guys coming to us in the heavyweight division, especially from the other side of the pond. And former middleweight world title challenger Martin Murray, he improved to 24-0 with a draw. 10 of his wins coming by knockout when he beat Kareem Archer by a unanimous decision. All 3 judges had it 98-93 in favor of Martin Murray. And Archer drops to 13 wins, 3 losses, and 2 draws. Chris Van Heerden retained his IBO welterweight title when he beat Sebastian Luan via a unanimous decision in South Africa. In South Africa, in Johannesburg. The way the scores were, 120-109 on 2 of the 3 scorecards, and the 3rd judge had it 119-109. So that's that. Carlos Molina, lightweight, improved to 17-0 with a draw when he won a 10-round unanimous decision over Marcos Dominguez, who drops to 18-4, 99-91, 97-93, 96-94. Got those scores all over the place. Took place in at the McAllen Convention Center in Texas. Also on that card, Victor Sanchez improved to 3-1 when he was the underdog in this fight, and Jerry Guevara loses for the first time via a 6-round decision. Victor Sanchez, the way the scores were, 57-53, 56-54, and 56-54, all in favor of the underdog Victor Sanchez. Also on Saturday night, one more fight to talk about. Jason Litzau got back on the winning ways. He improved to 29 wins, 3 losses, 22 knockouts when took care of Ira Terry, who's somebody's got to protect him from himself. Terry dropped to 24 wins, 9 losses, 14 knockouts. It was the main event in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Litzau got 2 knockdowns, and then finally 2 minutes and 43 seconds of the first round, the fight was already over. So we'll see what happens there. That takes care of the fights on Saturday night. Well, Friday night, I was ringside. Well, before I get to that, there was a junior bantamweight fight between David Quijano, who improved to 15-2. He stopped Juanito Rubilar in the 10th round. Rubilar drops to 48 wins, 19 losses, 7 draws, with 13 knockouts. Took place at the Kissimmee Civic Center in Kissimmee, Florida. It was a cut that Rubilar sustained, and it was caused by a punch, so therefore that's the way it went down on the record books as a TKO. Quijano claimed the vacant WBO Latino 115-pound title. Rubilar, he's 35 years old, and after losing 6 straight fights, is rethinking his career. You think, Rubilar? You think you should give that some thought? Holly Holm, New Mexico, Albuquerque, that is. Route 66 Casino Hotel. I was ringside. I called the action for a French broadcast. No, I didn't call it in French. I called it in English, but I don't know if this fight will be available. I've received a plethora of emails asking me about it. Listen, the ring was bigger. Holly was smarter. She won a boring fight. That's it. It wasn't exactly the most exciting fight. And Holly said it best at the end of the fight. She said, listen, I didn't come here to win Fight of the Night award. I came here to get the W. And that she did. She outpointed Anne-Sophie Mathis all night long. She was first to get the punch, and then she got the hell out of the way. I will say this. When I saw Anne-Sophie Mathis at the weigh-in on Thursday, I said, oh, my God, she looked like she was in way better shape than she was for the first fight. She was very successful in the first fight cutting the ring off. She was very successful in this fight cutting the ring off, except where she wasn't successful, and I'm referring to Matisse, was that she was not throwing punches. She was cutting the ring off and making Holly a lunge at her, and Holly would do just that. She would throw a punch while she was lunging, and then either hold on or get the hell out of harm's way. This took place for 10 rounds, and at the end, 2 of the judges, actually all 3 judges had a different score, 96-94, 99-91, 97-93. The general consensus around ringside was that nobody would have argued the 96-94 or even the 97-93 score, but everybody kind of thought the 99-91 score was a little out there. In the process, Holly Holm regained her WBAN and IBA titles and won the WBF, the World Boxing Federation, 147-pound title, which was not on the line in the first one. That was Anne-Sophie Mathis' title. So that's the way that is. I asked about a third fight, and I really think that a third fight is good. Right now, Team Fresquez and Team Holm, I should say, Lenny Fresquez Productions, says they're not interested. They're not interested in a third fight. Cecilia Braca's name is the one coming up, but the truth of the matter is where is that fight going to take place? I don't think Brackus is even in the same league as Holly Holm. I think that Brackus didn't even beat our own Chevelle Halbach in Denmark, and she's not, tough enough to get a rematch with Chevy. So, Holly Holm is way stronger and a better fighter than Cecilia Braga. So where does Holly go from now? Listen, she just got married, and she's a beautiful woman, and she's got a very successful training facility that she does aerobics and stuff like that. As she enters, she's 30 years old. As she enters her new life as a married woman and all that, I don't anticipate her sticking around that much longer, and that's why I think that a third fight with Matisse is actually what the doctor ordered. But we'll have to wait and see. On the undercard, Raymond Hollywood Montes, who I just got to meet. Now, there's a discrepancy with his record. There on the paperwork it said he had a 4-2 record going into the fight. Under the official record books, he was 3-2 going into the fight. Nonetheless, they have him right now as 5-2 with 4 knockouts when he knocked out devastatingly Jamie Gutierrez, who drops to 4-6. It was 1 minute and 37 seconds of the first round. What a right hand right on the jaw of this kid Gutierrez. And down went Gutierrez. And that was the end of that. Hollywood gets his name because he's kind of a trash-talking, funky guy. Personally, I think that he needs to fight a few more fights before he continues to act the way he did. Also on the undercard, and really, the whole night, all I kept seeing was, I kept hearing Larry Holmes' words ringing in my ear. Young fighters today, they don't use the jab. They don't use the jab. Well, none of the fighters were using the jab on this card, with the exception of this young fighter. He's from Albuquerque. His name is Christian Cabral. He improved to 3-0 with 2 knockouts when he took care of Victor Silva, who was making his pro debut. Now, Victor Silva was a game fighter, took a lot of shots and stuff, but finally succumbed in the fourth and final round, 1 minute and 27 seconds of the fourth round to give Cabral the W. Also, pro debut Gene Perez won a unanimous decision over Eric Gonzalez, 40-36 is the way all 3 judges score it. And John Smiley Herrera, who our very own Austin Killeen told me, you got to watch this kid. You're going to love this kid. You're going to love him. You're going to love him. You'll love him. He's a tough kid. He's great. He's great. He's great. The guy was putting me to sleep. He smiled. He says, why do people call me Smiley? Why? Watch one of your tapes, you smiling fool. That's all he did was smile, and he didn't throw any punches. I think he's extremely overrated, and I'm disappointed in Austin Killeen for even having me focus on this guy. You talk about trying to stay awake. I mean, this guy almost ruined my night. I was catching up on my beauty sleep watching him fight. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. But he certainly wasn't the exciting fighter that he has been in the past, according to Austin. But I will tell you this. Brian Garcia, who he beat up. Brian Garcia was a veteran fighter. He had some promise back in the day. He dropped to 7 wins, 19 losses. The amount of blood in this fight and in this other fight, the Jose Luis Sanchez, who improved to 1-0 when he won a fight against Guy Ul, who is now 0-1 by stopping him at 1 minute 13 seconds of the fourth and final round of the fight. Those 2 fights were the bloodiest that I've called action for. I have never witnessed as much blood that was all over all of us. Our paperwork, they had to mop the ring. Mop the ring. You're hearing me correctly. They mopped the ring, not once, but twice during these 2 fights to keep the blood. It was that bad. I had blood all over me. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if the dry cleaner is going to be able to clean my jacket, my tie, and my shirt because it was that bad. Here's an interesting thing. I couldn't understand why this kid started bleeding so bad in the second fight. I'm talking about the Brian Garcia when he was fighting Smiley there. Brian Garcia, he goes out to the fight. He goes out, I think it was the second round, and he just became just like somebody took a bucket of blood and just threw it on this guy and on the rest of us and Smiley. And when he was coming back, when he finally got back to his corner, he's pointing to his corner, and he was right to the right of us. His corner was right to the right of us. And he says to his cornerman, I didn't have my mouthpiece in. Didn't have his mouthpiece in. Now, if you're a fighter, now, no wonder why his whole inside of his mouth was busted up, everything else. Listen, if you're a fighter and your corner is that stupid that they don't put your mouthpiece in, the first thing you say to the referee is, I don't have my mouthpiece in. And let him call time and put the mouthpiece in. Nothing for nothing, but three people made mistake right there. Number one, the fighter for not saying anything. Number two, his corner for being stupid and not putting the mouthpiece in. And you know what? Number three for the referee, because the referee's supposed to check for the mouthpiece at the start of every round.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on a scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing with Billy C.
Now back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the number 1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway, up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights on the silhouette, he's just a buttonette, coming at you on the count of 1.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, then you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want it. I don't care if you have satellite or cable. Call them now and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. I don't know what's going on. It's just me and my man Jay in the chat room right now. And, we're lonely in there. So, you guys got to remember to tune in live and become part of the show. Hey, listen, there was some fights last Thursday because we had the audacity to take a couple of days off. I just want to say that Shawnee Monahan wins by TKO to win the vacant, what did he win? America's, WBC Continental America's title. That's such a scheme. Yeah, so congratulations, Shawnee. But anyway, we got some news that I just want to run through, man, a lot of it too. So the WBO, this came out on late Wednesday night. They are going to officially review the Bradley Pacquiao fight. Don't expect anything. Don't expect any changes or anything like that. In the worst case, they're going to order a rematch, which is already going to take place. So, nothing's going to happen. There's going to be no overturning. There's going to be, no suspensions. I've said this before. This was the greatest orchestrated con the sport has ever seen. And like I said, for the last 5 days at least, the bottom line is the reason it will never be overturned, and the reason why I think that it's the most well-orchestrated con the sport has ever seen is because of the scores. Think about it. Usually, when you when there's a controversial ending to a fight, usually you have one score that could 50-50 goes one way. It's close enough. It's subjective. Maybe it could go the other way. All of a sudden, you hear the other score. Oh, it's for the other guy, and then there's that third score. That's out of left field. Totally different, right? Those are the kinds of fights you can argue. Those are the kinds of fights you could say was a scam or whatever. But what makes this one so hard to really overturn or to do anything is because the orchestrator of this fraud had the wherewithal to keep the fight, all 3 scores, the same. They just two went with one, and one went with Pacquiao. And it's hard to... I saw that fight as a one-sided fight in favor of Manny Pacquiao, like most people did. Now, there are some that are coming out now that feel that it was a close fight and this and that. But I saw it as a one-sided fight for Manny Pacquiao. But the case here is that all three judges scored it the same, but for a couple different people. So I just believe that it's nothing's going to change. We're going to see a rematch. That's it. WBC, Jose Sulaiman. You guys know how I feel about him. I'm not going to trash the troll. But once again, he comes out with an apology. And he apologizes to basically Dwayne Ford for titling his Sunday write-up or whatever, or Saturday. It gets printed in the Sunday paper in Mexico, one of the Sunday papers in Mexico. And he called the fight, referring to the Timothy Bradley-Manny Pacquiao fight, the theft of the century. And then he goes on to apologize. After he prints it and it gets published and everything else, he says, I'm deeply sorry. This is Jose Sulaiman's quote. He says the problem here was bad translation from Spanish to English, and it's our fault. He says, I'm deeply sorry for having hurt a dear friend like Dwayne Ford and cannot find the words to express it. As all my friends during the years of my life know that I'm not an offensive person, regardless of the circumstances and people. Dwayne Ford is not only a very good, honest, and decent person in his private life, but he's also one of the best judges I've ever known. Dwayne Ford, in fact, holds a vice chair in the WBC Ring Officials Board, and he has been a leader, blah, 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 blah. Dwayne Ford was totally out of line for saying the statement that Manny Pacquiao was schooled by Timothy Bradley. You know, if he was schooled, then why was his score so close? Dwayne Ford, I think, will... listen, Dwayne Ford was the head of this debacle. All right? He was the head of the debacle. It's terrible that Dwayne Ford is actually the guy who teaches our judges, and he was so blind to score this fight the way it is. It's a travesty. And all I could say to Jose Sulaiman is, you know what? If you're going to tell it like it is, stand by your words. Don't say one thing and apologize. Well, what is this? Apology number 999 so far for 2012? You know, he writes something, and what does he always do? Blames it on the translation. No, that's not what I meant. I was speaking Spanish, man. So what did you say in Spanish that translated to the theft of the century, which is pretty accurate title, in my opinion? Jose Sulaiman, you troll SOB. Chris Arreola has backed out of the fight that's scheduled for Friday. Why? Because I guess he's got an elbow injury that's been chronic. You know, I tell you what's been chronic is these cancellations of fights. You know, chronic. You know what chronic means? Chronic means it happens all the time. Chronic means it's something that hasn't gone away, something that's been around for a while. Then why the hell are you waiting less than 10 days before the fight to withdraw? You telling me that it just acted up, or it's been there? Well, according to Henry Ramirez, he says he's got an arm injury and it's reoccurring. When he hits on the glove, when he's talking about hitting the mitts, it strains the elbow area when he's blocking his punches. His arm goes dead. We know it's nothing structural, but it's giving him problems. I don't know. Did somebody think Mike Molo, his opponent that he was scheduled to fight, was going to give him trouble? Come on, man. You know, if Chris Arreola couldn't go through with this card, going through with this fight, I mean, then I don't know. You know, come on. You know, I had hopes that he was going to get another shot at the heavyweight title, but we'll have to see what happens there. But anyway, the main event, of course, was Victor Ortiz and Josito Lopez. Humberto Soto and Lucas Matisse is going to be also on the card as well. So, you know, we had another injury. You know, we're talking about injuries, and Brandon Bam Rios, he hurt his arm too, and he had to back out of a fight. You know, he was scheduled to fight July 7th. And he just backed out on Thursday of last week. Said that he suffered an injury when he was sparring and can't fight. So he's off the fight on July 7th. Now, what does that mean? Who's replacing him? Kelly Pavlik. Kelly Pavlik is replacing him. Kelly Pavlik and Will Rowinski. You know, sometimes when you lose, you win. That was the case with Will Lewinsky. Remember, he had a pretty tough fight, and he lost. He comes back on Thursday night, and he fought Aaron Pryor Jr. and won. His record now is 16 wins and a loss with 9 knockouts. Kelly Pavlik, on the other hand, has been beating up some, let's just say, less than stellar opposition, including his last fight against Scott Sigmund. The bottom line is Pavlik now has 39 wins and a couple losses, with 32 of his wins coming by knockout. And him and Will Lewinsky are going to be replacing Bam Bam Rios on July 7th. The only good thing about this is the fact that it's coming quickly. I'm glad that both of these fighters are back in the ring for sure. As we mentioned, it looks like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Sergio Martinez are definitely going to be fighting. It's scheduled for September 15th, and there's a little controversy already surrounding the fight. What is it? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's the fact that Saul Alvarez is scheduled to fight on September 15th. They've announced that Saul Alvarez should be fighting Victor Ortiz. I guess they're pretty confident that Victor Ortiz is going to win the fight against Josito Lopez. Josito Lopez is not a layup. I think the problem here is the fact that the pay-per-views are competing against each other. You know, why would you do a pay-per-view? First of all, it's foolish for you as a business decision because, I mean, let's face it. Most people, especially the way the economy is today, are, not exactly, burning dollar bills unless you're Floyd Mayweather, you're burning $100 bills. But, people kind of stretch their money a little bit, So I think you're forcing the consumer into choosing a fight where you could have got the buy if you staggered it. I think it's a big mistake. I think it hurts their own pocketbook, and it certainly hurts the sport of boxing. Prize fighter, the international heavyweights fight that's taking place this week. They pulled the draw. I'm not so thrilled with this lineup because it seems like they're really trying. There's a clear favorite in this, and his name is Kevin Johnson, which really makes me sick. The Carl Froch pulled the names out of the hat, apparently, and the way they the first heat, which I like to call a heat, we got Albert Sosnowski going up against Mo Harris. Now, why Mo Harris is even in the mix, I don't know. I guess they needed a couple of sacrificial lambs, so they threw him in there because he's finished. He's a bum. And I say that just, not that he's a nice guy personally, but can't stand his promoter. His promoter's a wannabe. You know how I say wannabes? His promoter's the biggest wannabe in the sport, and he's a wannabe with money, so like he's wasting all his money. Those guys, sometimes you wonder, how smart are you, man? Why don't you just throw all your money away? Get yourself a nice quality fighter like Mo Harris. But, anyway, also Kevin Johnson, the Kingpin, who I think is another fraud. He's taking on Noridine Madoni, and the other fight, Tor Hammer, who I thought I didn't even know he was a heavyweight, to tell you the truth. I thought he was much smaller, but he's going up against Marcelio Luis Nascimento, who's an opponent. I mean, these are the guys that aren't going to get by anything. And then, of course, Tom Dallas against Tom Little. Tom Dallas is a young heavyweight out of England, and that's the way the draw came out. I wonder about the draw. That's all I'm going to say. I wonder. But anyway, we got the WBA. Guillermo Jones has been the WBA cruiserweight champion for a long time, and he's only had a couple of title defenses, I think, in 4 years. Well, he asked the WBA if he was able to have a fight on June 29th against a non-title fight against someone And the WBA laughed at him, and they said no. They said, you have to fight your mandatory, which is Denis Ledebev. And if you can't cut a deal with this guy by June 29th, we're going to make it purse bid. So WBA is not messing around. But anyway, FYI, in case you missed it, almost $9 million was brought in on the Manny Pacquiao-Timothy Bradley fight from the live gate alone. They say over 13,200 tickets were sold, but apparently over 2,000 were still unsold. So, we got that drawing issue, right? The WBA has officially, on paper, last week approved the Derek Chisora and David Haye fight, which is taking place July 14th in London. You know what? The WBA, I got to give them credit for the Guillermo Jones and the fact that they are approving this fight. It is a fight that's good for the sport. It is a fight that's putting two fighters against each other that, one is going to move on. I think that, the powers that be just got lost in a political issue. And, I like the fight, and I give the WBA credit for that. Another fight I like, and I think it is going to be a pretty good test, it's taking place July 7th in London. Tyson Fury is taking on tough guy Vinny Matalone. I'll tell you one thing. Vinny Matalone is going to try for a knockout. So I think it's a good test. I will say another thing, too. We had Nevin Pikic, who's the Canadian heavyweight champ. He just fought Tyson Fury. That was Tyson Fury's last fight. And Vinny Matalone is the American version of Nevin Pikic. So, ever since Tyson Fury gave up his European heavyweight belts, he didn't want to fight David Price and stuff. Man, he's been taking some very calculated fights, hasn't he? They're gearing him for a world title shot. I mean, listen, Ray Charles can see that. So, Ruslan Podognikov is taking on Jose Reynoso. That's taking place June 29th. And Christopher Martin is on the undercard. He's taking on Roberto Castaneda. And that's going to be an ESPN Friday Night Fights. Imagine that, a Friday Night Fights. And speaking of Friday Night Fights, another one that's going to be taking place on August 10th is not a bad one, I guess. It's going to be Darley Perez going up against Michael Casitas. Perez is undefeated at 25-0 with 19 knockouts. And Michael Casitas, well, he seems to be on a slippage lately, but he's always tough. And, this fight is going to be in the lightweight division where Casitas should be. Remember, in his last fight, he had moved up in weight. So I think that this is a good move for Casitas to get back down to the division that, he does his best in. So another couple of fights coming up right there on June 29th and August 10th. Javier Fortuna and Christopher Cruz, they're going to be the main event of Moment of Truth, which is July 6th at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. That, too, will be on Friday night fights. Christopher Cruz, his former IBF champ, always one of my favorite fighters. Not sure why he's still fighting. And once again, he's taking on the young fighter in Javier Fortuna, who's 19-0 with 14 knockouts. So does Cruz have another one left in him? Billy Dibb returns to the ring July 13th. He's going to be taking on southpaw, Mexican southpaw, Juan Antonio Rodriguez, who's got a record of 21 wins, 3 losses, 19 of his wins coming by knockout. It's going to be in the super featherweight division. Billy Dibb, as you know, only has lost one fight, and his record is 34 wins, a loss, with 21 of his wins coming by knockout. So we'll see what happens there. And finally, the last bit of news I wanted to give you was Gary Shaw. Now, Gary Shaw, as you know, is not one of my favorite promoters. He's not. As a matter of fact, he's a backstabbing SOB. But and he's also the big fat walrus. Huku. But the bottom line is this. Once again, I'm giving him some credit. Now, I think I gave him credit last week, so I don't know what's happened to me. Somebody's slipping me something in my coffee. But, Latif Coyote, he's 18 wins, no losses, and a draw now. He's got his first draw after he fought Antonio Margarito. Margarito got to keep his IBO world title last time they fought a couple weeks ago. And Latif Coyote, I think he wanted a rematch, or maybe he didn't. I don't know. But it was his first shot at a world title. We all know that he's got a long way to go. We all know that he's trained by Freddie Roach and blah, 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 blah. Well, we watched NBC Friday Night Fights. It was Saturday Night Fights, NBC Sports. And, who's their guy? Who's their Teddy Atlas? Well, B.J. Flores. Now, I can't stand B.J. Flores. But I like him as an analyst. I think he does a great job. I don't like that he's copying, Teddy Atlas's little bits, but when you see B.J. Flores with the gloves on, I mean that's ridiculous. But I think he does a good job. I think he's knowledgeable. I think that he says the right things and all that stuff. But when it comes to fights, he's the biggest fraud the sport has seen in 20 years. He's a guy that tells everybody he wants everybody. I want to fight this one. I want to fight that one. I'll fight. He wears a T-shirt. Anyone, anyone, any place, any time. Unless you try to negotiate with him, then for a 4-round fight, he wants $100,000. I mean, he's a chump. He's a chump. He's a fraud. All right. I used to work with him, just a street fighter, basically, tough guy, in Kenny Craven, and we tried to get a fight with B.J. Flores, and B.J. Flores ran like the chicken biatch he is from Kenny Craven, and no disrespect to Kenny, but he wasn't. Exactly a world beater, but I bet you he would have beat B.J. Flores. Well, B.J. Flores wanted to fight Latif Coyote, remember? All last week. He was calling him out in the press and everything else. Well, Gary Shaw, who I've been critical of in the past, stepped up and said, no, we are not going to fight this fraud of a guy. Judge John Bonatti, who's the matchmaker for Gary Shaw, says, BJ, first I want to say this in an open letter. He says, first I want to say this. Thank you. You are, he says, I want to say that I think you are great for boxing, and I'm a big fan. I guess he's referring to his ringside analyst duties, because he's certainly not great for boxing inside the ring, and whoever's a fan of him mustn't know too much about the sport. And John Bonatti is actually a knowledgeable guy, so I think he's being a little sarcastic here. He says, however, Latif Coyote had a draw with the best cruiserweight in the world. And now I know Bonatti's probably drunk as he's writing this, but he's referring to Antonio Tarver as the best cruiserweight in the world, which is not true. I would love to see Tarver fight Lebedev. Lebedev will kill Tarver. Literally, they'd have to shovel him off the canvas. He says, although we at Gary Shaw Productions think you're a good fighter, Latif Coyote is looking for much bigger fights than you in his future. Attaboy, Gary Shaw. Attaboy, John Bonatti. B.J. Flores is nothing more than a fraud. We got some decent fights scheduled for this week. First and foremost, coming up this weekend, we got a couple of decent fights, like Kendall Holt is going to be taking on Khabib Alakaverdiv, who's undefeated. He's out of Russia. That's taking place June 20th. Also on June 20th, we have some fights down in Japan. It's a unification fight in a 105-pound weight class. Kazuto Ioka, who's 9-0 with 6 knockouts, and he's the WBC champ. And the WBA champion, Akira Yakagashi, who's 15-2 with 8 knockouts. It's going to be taking place June 20th in Japan for a unification fight. The world title challenges on the heavyweight tournament we were just talking about with another fraud, Kevin Johnson. That's taking place June 20th. We also have the Mike Dallas Jr. fight coming at us from California. That's taking place on the 22nd. So I'll be looking forward to that one as well. And Don King is at it again. Oh, Don King, you're at it again. He's going to be doing Viva la Don King #2 at the Seminole Hard Rock Casino in Florida, Hollywood, Florida. You know, I wish that I was going to be doing that one with my man John, but I guess they'd rather spend $100,000 instead of $5 or $6 with us. But the bottom line is the worst name in boxing, Twinkle Fingers. He's going to be on that card, but that's taking place on June 23rd. Rico Ramos, as far as I know, he's still fighting on June 23rd against Efron Escovives. So we'll have to see what happens with that one. And, of course, the big fight that we're all talking about, Josito Lopez against Victor Ortiz. That's taking place at the Staples Center. So we'll be looking forward to seeing those fights all scheduled for this weekend. So anyway, and the Dallas Castro fight is also that's a television fight. That's going to be on Friday Night Fight. So make sure you stick around for those. But anyway, we got one comment I'm going to read. Let's see. Thumbs up for Chavez, Vargas attorneys, Canelo, Andy Lee, NBC main events. Thumbs down for Chambers, Suleiman, Kenny Nice, and his title top rank. I don't know. I don't know what Jay is rambling on here. He's trying to do my thumbs up and thumbs down show, which is immediately following this show. So if you're watching or listening live, make sure you stick around. If you're listening on the podcast, you know that it's a separate show. And if you watch it on the show on YouTube, you also got to look for a separate show. But right now, it's time for the...
Wake up. It's time for the...
It's too early for a trivia question.
Now, today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question is being sponsored by the Whitehall Athletic Club. You know, if you're looking to join an athletic club or a pretty cool club of any sort, you need to look into the Whitehall Athletic Club. Check them out online, www.whitehallathleticlub.com, and you can be part of a great club. There's fishing, there's boating, there's golf, there's basketball, there's pool, there's a workout room, there's several restaurants, several bars, all that happy stuff, plus live sporting events like wrestling and boxing. As a matter of fact, there's a pro wrestling event at the Whitehall Athletic Club this weekend coming up, so make sure you check that out, www.whitehallathleticlub.com. Tell them Billy C sent you. What we got on the line today is a great prize. It's your very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. Now, in case you don't know about this game, it's a simulation game. So it's not geared upon the graphics and all the real, the reality of, watching a real fight or something like that. No, this is a simulation game. That means we can put Muhammad Ali up against Vladimir Klitschko and see how he would have done. And put all of the training thing. Ali in perfect shape. He's got Angel and Dudley in his corner. Blah, 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 blah. And then you set up Vladimir Klitschko. Perfect shape. He's got Manny Stewart in his corner. Blah, 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 blah. And then you have the computer take all the stats that they've been accumulating since 1970, the early 1970s, and you can set it to run 1,000 fights, all based on computer. Let the computer make the decision, and they will tell you how the fight goes. First, they'll run a fight for you. And tell you round by round how it would go. And then they'll tell you what the results were for 999 more. And you get a really good indication of who would have won if these two great fighters would have fought each other. That's on the line, in addition to, courtesy of Pugilistica.com, a collector's edition Rocky Marciano phone card that was issued in the 1990s to promote Rocky Marciano. So both of that's on the line. If you know this answer, who fought in the most fights from 1950 to 1959. Who fought in the most fights from 1950 to 1959? If you know that answer, email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. If you're the first one to get it right, you'll win both of those great prizes. Who fought in the most fights from 1950 to 1959? Email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing.com.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That's Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. Give them a call today. Campanaro and Tomkovich, 845-221-4099. On this day, June 18th, back in 2005, guess what happened? Antonio Tarver wins a 12-round decision over Glenn Johnson to win the World Light Heavyweight title, and that took place on this day, June 18th in 2005, in Memphis, Tennessee. Hey, man, that concludes our show for today. I got one more message for you. You know what it is? Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel. The Fight Now channel, of course. Call your local television provider right now and tell them you want the Fight Now channel, AT Sports channel lineup. It's up simple. For all information about the channel, visit their website, www.fightnow.com. One quick thing, my man Jay says he wants a thumbs down to Vegas attorney Kenny Rice. I don't know. Why? Hey, man, we'll see you tomorrow. Ciao, baby.